Hello, everybody, and welcome to Friday with Fran. I'm your host, Shelley Kino, and my co-host is Fran. I don't know what I was going to try to say there.
It's not
That's,
that kind of alliteration, I guess.
no, yeah, and I was tutoring earlier today, and I was tongue-tied all the time and was tripping over myself. So this might be fun because I might just be continuing that problem as we speak today. So a couple little housekeeping things. If you are watching from my Facebook group, No Limits, Changing the World's Perspective Through IEPs, you need to give StreamYard permission in order for us to see who you are when you post. You can post without giving them permission, but then Fran and I won't know who you are. And so if you want us to know who you are, then please go ahead and give them permission. Otherwise, Fran and I might be hopping back and forth because I can see who you are if I jump over into my Facebook group. But, you know, that requires some talent on my part to do that. So, because I see we already have somebody saying, hello, ladies. And I'm going to guess that I know who that is.
I don't see it.
I'm gonna guess that it's Greg or Michael. Nope, it's my mom. Hi, Mom.
Hi.
So see, I had to jump over to my Facebook group to see who that was. So
okay.
We have 4 people currently watching us. So if you're watching us, please let us know. Do a hashtag live or hey, how you doing? Hello from hello from Illinois or New York or California or wherever you're from. Let us know. And then if you have something that is really on your heart and mind that you would like us to discuss, please let us know that because Fran and I, hi Alex, welcome. We sometimes struggle with topics to talk about. I mean, there's a million things to talk about, but sometimes, you know, narrowing that down. So today we were thinking we were going to talk about doctors and therapists and specialists. Oh my, because that can be very daunting and overwhelming. And if you're in a situation like Fran, where you're doing all of those things times 3 or times C for Fran, that even makes it that much worse. So, all right. Well, we're happy to have you for as long as we can have you, Alex. She says she can only watch for a minute.
Oh, no. So you better put your word in before we say it.
Yeah. So, Fran, how are you today?
You know, it's an interesting day. We're just going to go with that because my body does not do what it used to do. But my mind continues to run at Mach something speed and expects my body to keep up. Well, it's in rebellion today. I'm just going to tell you, it hurts and it's dragging. So I was trying to get a lot accomplished as I was for some odd reason, I have really fallen. Oh, she got a word. Because that's the problem. I don't have it anymore. I don't have, as Alex said, I don't have balance. I try to put too much in and expect myself to get it done. And then I get frustrated because I'm not able to get it done or I'm late. And I've never been a late person. And all of a sudden I'm late because I'm trying to do so much prior to, I have time. I have time. So that's where I am right now. But I have some good news.
What?
I got to see Bubby.
Yay!
That's my son. I have the opportunity to give our worship leader a break at church. So I'm gonna, by the Holy Spirit's grace, lead worship. And so I had to get the keyboard set up, and it's a really heavy keyboard. And I had called him and said, if you're out walking, and so his staff, bless their hearts, walked him up there. And since no one else was there, he was able to come in. And so he helped me do the mic checks and everything.
Awesome.
So, and then we did a little impromptu praise and worship singing time together. So it was just so neat. And so I didn't want it to end, but I had to do a stop from there on my way home prior to here. And it was almost another one of those, oh, Shelley's going to have to start without me. She's really not going to like this. So anyway, that was my lead into where we are now.
Well, I thank you, Alex. We're sorry to see you go, but we understand life happens and you have to do other things. So thanks for the few minutes that you were with us.
Wise words.
I apologize for, this making you end your time with your son. No, I feel bad about that.
No, he was getting a little antsy pants anyway. So he was he had done all his sound checks, and he was tired of singing the songs. I only had the songs for which I had planned on church days, so I didn't have all the ones that he knew. I didn't bring my whole folder, so he was like, "Hey, Mom." I said, "Yes, again, I got to practice." It's life. So,
we're not all perfect like him the first time we try something.
And then he thought his go-to song is Amazing Grace. So he thought that's what we should be singing. I'm like, look, I don't have those chords memorized. I'm sorry. So,
yeah.
Anyway.
He could have just done it a cappella. It would have been fine.
Well, he did in the middle of the other song. We were singing All Creatures of Our God and King, and he's singing Amazing Grace. So, he sang it.
That's good. Yeah, you shared with me a few years ago, or maybe not even that long ago, a video of the two of you doing Amazing, or maybe it was just him. Now I can't remember if you were in it. I think maybe you were
playing the guitar.
Yeah, that's what it was.
And I was mic'd, but I chose not to sing because I only was mic'd in case he chose to wander or forget to sing. So
yeah,
but he loves microphones. Those air microphones, the Echo ones.
Yeah,
he has tons of those, but they don't make them. I can't find them anymore.
Really?
Yeah, they used to be in the really cheap section at the box stores or the cheap stores, and they're hard to find now. And so, because they use that and unsharpened pencils, like with the print on them. Those were always the go-to gifts for him, and flashlights. He liked those. So. Anyway, so that was fun for him to do a sound check.
Yeah, cool. Well, so there you go, folks that are watching. If you have any microphone access, you got the tips on where to find that kind of microphone that Fran was just talking about. Let us know. And she will reach out to you and get more information because when you
staff will love that.
Oh, I bet. We had one of those little it was just like a what do you call them, like a trinket toy, and it was a little bitty like megaphone, and when you pressed it, it would do your voice in a really weird voice. And one of my nephews got that for Christmas from my mother-in-law, and like we all wanted to strangle her after we opened gifts. It's like, why did you do this to us?
It was like someone gave him a drum set.
Oh.
It was a toddler size, but it was a full set. It was like,
yeah. My brother and I always threatened each other that we were gonna get the opposite one's child a drum set for Christmas.
So, and anyway. I'm blessed that Allison enjoys quiet, and she likes her headphones. So it's very quiet. Sometimes we can just sit together and enjoy each other's presence, but have quiet.
Quiet is good.
I'd forgotten how exuberant he is.
Yeah.
So, and that's a good lead into medical appointments.
Okay. Lead us away.
Is that okay?
Yeah, absolutely. I was trying to think how we were going to segue back there. So
yeah, well, it is, because that's how I've discovered how loud he is. Because for those who don't know, my son lives in a SILA, which is community integrated living arrangement, and I hadn't been able to see him forever and ever and ever because of the COVID lockdown, and so I figured out an end run on how I could do that was to take him to his medical appointments. And He doesn't have as many as he used to, but so coordinating them though, I had I did, since I hadn't been doing that on his, I use a calendar, an electronic calendar. I had to pick a color for him because I had to be able to figure out who, where he was on it. And then so I've been taking him to his appointments. But back to why I was saying it segued really well in. Yeah, he turns the radio on and he never listens to a full song. He has it at full blast. I can't hear, Mom. I can't hear. So can you see all the colors on that? Kind of, I'm trying to turn that angle.
Yes.
Yeah. So that's how I do my calendar. Color code it for various things. So he had to have his own color. But it does make life interesting. But this, see all those colors?
Yeah. That's a lot of things.
Yeah. So that's kind of one way I have learned to balance and to coordinate having multiple appointments. So when I brought Luke home from the NICU, thankfully I had heard of early intervention. So like he came home and the following day they came and did his intake.
Wow.
So I wanted him, I wanted, and I still want for both of my children to help them reach their fullest potential. Whatever that fullest potential is for them. Not for me, not for the world, but for them. Right. I want to do all I can within me to help them get there. So that was early intervention was part of that, but he had developmental therapy, occupational therapy, physical therapy, and speech therapy.
Wow. So say that again. So occupational, speech, physical,
and developmental.
Okay, so 4 therapies.
So and that occurred. So in the beginning, maybe he didn't always have some of them all the time, but sometimes it was. Some of them were this many times in a church day to a church day, and some of them were this many times. Sometimes we would have them come together, and like the speech therapist would work on part of it while the physical therapist was working on the back end, and so we would try to sometimes combine them. So you had all those appointments, and so I learned I needed a calendar, and that was prior to electronic calendars. So it was good old fashioned paper, and I actually still have some of those. I should have dug them out. And that's when I discovered, I better start color coding. But I only had Luke, so I color coded his therapies, and then I color coded his medical. Well, with Down syndrome, some of the most common things they have are heart issues. When they're first born, they can have holes in their heart, and also they have GI issues. Sometimes their stomach is actually not attached, or their esophagus is not attached to their stomach. It loops back around. So therefore, they get no nutrients, and so that's a critical surgery. But I was very blessed that Luke didn't have those kind of things. But then he developed seizures and some other things. So all of a sudden, then it was like, oh my goodness, we have a lot of specialists. Because that opened this door, and they were all over in the big city near us. And so then it was, okay, now I have to go here and I have to go there. And then I found I was pregnant again. I was like, oh my goodness gracious. And yes, I do know how that happens. So I don't need to be told.
So wait a minute, before we move on to the second child that you have. Okay, so we had this many therapies, and then so a heart doctor.
No, he didn't have a heart problem. He did have to have the heart. He did have to have an ECG, which was like an ultrasound of his heart to see if there's a hole. And but he had ear problems, so he had an ENT, and he had a neurologist, and well, he has his normal regular doctor, and he had a urologist and orthopedic doctor and a neurosurgeon. Yeah.
Okay, we're gonna have to start going to my toes.
I'll start over here. Sleep doctor
Okay.
and a psychiatrist. I think I'm missing somebody, but we'll just stop here for now. Oh, yeah, we'll just stop here. So how many is that?
So that's 12. So one whole hand, two whole hands, and then so did he have ever at any point in his life all of this at the same time, like in the same, all the calendars?
Church day to church day?
No,
Or
not
within
church
all the
day to church day,
calendars?
within all the calendars.
Oh yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
that's just.
And he's really not medically involved.
Right.
I mean, I think about Hannah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I mean, I'm very blessed that actually my daughter was in the hospital more than he was.
Wow.
Hospitalized.
So that was so that was for your son. There were 12.
Mm-hmm.
Now you find out you're pregnant again. And
yeah. And see, I really it may seem strange, but I thought, oh, I'm gonna want another child to be there for my child who happened to have different needs.
Mm-hmm.
And I really thought in my head that other child was going to be a boy because, then they would help each other and be able to go in the bathroom, all those little types of, yeah. Well, my thoughts are not God's thoughts and my plans are not God's plans, as my friend said the other day. And yeah, it's pretty much the truth. So, yeah, I had a daughter.
Yeah.
And
so can I stop you for a second there?
Yes.
I want to know, was that a thought that you really had as a conscious, that you focused on it, that you wanted to have a boy for your son? Or was it that when your daughter was born, you went, oh, I mean, I'm happy to have a daughter, but I was thinking it would be good to have a son?
Actually, I just believed, I just in my head never thought it wouldn't be anything but a boy.
Okay.
And then the ultrasound, where you can find out.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. No, I don't know what I can say or not say. So
it's your story.
Are your YouTubes, do you say not?
They are marked. They are not marked for children.
Okay. All right. So then I'm going to go ahead with this one. Well, I didn't want to ruin it so you couldn't go on
right.
YouTube.
No, I understand. I understand. So, and I appreciate it.
And it's not crude. It's just so they checked and I was wanting to know because I just did. Right. And she told me. And I went, are you sure? Check again. And she goes, there's no kickstand. I went, oh, are you positive? She goes, it's a girl. I said, oh. And I went, God, why are you giving me a girl? What am I going to do with a girl? I don't know what to do with a girl. Girls are all frilling, girls like pink, and oh my goodness gracious, I'm going to break this girl. That was my thought process. It wasn't even so much a girl in relation to helping Luke. At that point, it was like, oh, what am I going to do with a girl?
Right.
So
the reason I asked that question is because so often we have expectations that we don't realize we have formed until they're not met. So that's why I was curious if it was something that you had known you had as that expectation, or if it was just, oh, well, this is not what I was expecting. And we all do that. We all have expectations. Like when anybody gets pregnant, they're not thinking, oh, this child is going to be born and have Down syndrome, or this child is going to be born and have a cleft palate, or your natural thought is I'm going to have a boy or I'm going to have a girl. It's not really anything beyond that other than you're anticipating healthy. You're anticipating perfect.
I'm sorry. You're right. But okay, so that makes me, I'm going to chipmunk on that one, on your thought for just a second.
Okay.
Because when Luke was born, I had done the triple screening blood test, but I didn't pursue it further. So I knew there was a possibility that he would have Down syndrome. So I studied up on it, and then I just set it aside because I just did.
Right.
But so when he was born, my thoughts when I saw him were not, oh, does he have Down syndrome? My thoughts were like, oh, does he have all his fingers and toes? How are his eyes? Can he smile? That was my thoughts was, oh, look, he has a lot of hair. That,
right.
So honestly, I was not the first thought when they held him up and go, he's a boy, was, does he have Down syndrome? No.
Right.
And so
right.
I just yeah,
and it's okay. And I want to
previously, so
sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off.
It's okay.
It's okay if that is your first thought. I want to say that.
Oh, yeah.
You know, because if that was something that you did have that ultrasound and that testing, and that was something that you were told was a possibility, and the first and the first thought out of your mind was, do they have Down syndrome? That's okay too.
Right. Yeah. Oh, yeah. And I'm sorry, I didn't mean to portray that, but for me, that wasn't my focus at that moment, because I was just like, he was so easy. He flew out. I pushed this many times.
Oh, I don't like you.
No, but my daughter more than made up for it. It was all the way around the clock, and then all the way another part of a day before, and then the cord was wrapped around her neck. So she went out, and then she went back in, and she came out, and she went back in. So yeah, she was not coming out no matter what. So she made up for him that many
being
times.
So super easy. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, then I'm fine. You can.
Now you don't hate me anymore. Okay. Thanks.
I didn't hate you the first time. I just was not happy.
You were not happy. Okay. So, but and I think it's really important to, especially since you touched on that it's okay to validate how you're feeling in that moment. It's okay to be angry. It's okay to be sad. It's okay, because as Shelley was saying, we all assume our child is going to be perfect and is going to be da 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 da. So it's I've said it previously. There was a death of a dream, and it's that Welcome to Holland poem, and it's, you have to reboot, reassess, and redream, and that process is not easy. And in some ways, that process is still occurring now, and my children are adults.
Right.
So give yourself grace. Allow yourself to feel, and reach out to people. Do not think you're all alone, because there's so many people, and especially with Facebook, there's so many groups out there. So you're not alone, and it's okay. It's okay to be mad and sad, and someone pretty much implied that I was a failure because it was my fault. That I'm like, well, it's kind of just, it was a genetic happening. So I'm not quite sure how that one's my fault, but in the moment I took it because that's where I was in life. And so,
yeah. And that's old thinking, very old school thinking. But there are still some people that think that way. And then, I'm happy for the internet, because it does allow for, us to have this show, and for people to find us and to hear these things, but as many people as are out there doing things like this, there are still people that have that old school thinking about a lot of things, not just this, but about a lot of things. So, okay. So, I'm sorry. The reason I just wanted to touch on that, just something, I don't know. It sparked that I wanted to bring that out.
Sorry. And that's, I'm glad you did. I mean, because that's what this is. This is just us throwing thoughts out and then processing them.
Right.
Yeah. Kind of like, we talked on this, the other time, and there was a scripture of the day, iron sharpens iron. And I mean, how do you sharpen each other if you don't communicate back and forth and give and take? And what's right for a person is not always, or the way someone feels is not always the same as the next person.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, I didn't want to go on a tangent about talking when we had said we were going to talk about our particular topic of the day, but that wouldn't be unusual for us because we have done that before. And it's not until the very end that we go, oh yeah, our topic was, and we tie everything together. But okay, so Allie was born.
Yeah, so Allie was born. Well, after she yo-yoed in and out for quite a while.
Right.
And she was never, I guess they called them colicky or something like that, but she just cried all the time unless she was nursing or you were holding her and she was sleeping. That was her life for the beginning years of her life. She just cried. And she was miserable, and my heart hurt so badly because there was nothing I could do to make her happy, except kept her fed and I wore her. You've seen the blue sling that
you have for Cooper.
Yeah, right here. This I wore Allie nonstop. So,
well, she wasn't ready to come out of the womb. She tried to tell you all that.
Yes, she did, and she was actually a calendar. She was in November, and she was supposed to be in December.
Oh, okay. So she was early by several weeks, even.
She was only this many
pounds.
Yeah.
Her weight. Yeah.
Yeah. Yep. There you go.
Okay.
Wow. So Luke wasn't much bigger because he was not quite a calendar. He was close, but
okay.
So yeah, so I have his medical appointments then and his therapies, and she started in a program called Early Head Start. I actually got to help start that program in our area because his early intervention program was wanting to start it, so got to help write the standards and hire people and everything. So I was actually one of their beginning clients as well and served on the board with them and things. But anyway,
you like to be a pioneer with your kids, don't you? Because your kids were pilot kids for the Therapeutic Riding Center in our area too.
Yes. I don't know if it's I like to. It's just it seems like there have been opportunity. God lined it up that there have been opportunities, and we just happen to be there at that moment.
Yep. And both of those programs are still thriving. I mean, the Early Head Start has been around longer, so it's just huge what it does now and the reach that it has, and the Riding Center has been around for a decade now, I guess, because it was this many. All the calendars that I met you at that place. Mm-hmm. So
yeah. So
and it had already been going on before I got there.
Yeah. I wasn't there in the very, very beginning, but then helped start it up.
Yeah.
But
so the Early Head Start program, you started helping them with the standards.
Yeah. So they were actually coming to work with her because she was part of that program. I was part of it as pregnant, and then she was part of it. Mm-hmm. So at one point we had cars lined around I'm on a corner lot, and it was just cars everywhere. Just it was my job was to do their therapies and get them to their medical appointments. And Allison benefited because Luke's therapist would interact with her, and I wish I'll have to share it. I know it'll be late, but share it. Maybe I can share it in the comments once it's done. But I have a picture of Allie sitting on a therapy ball, watching Luke sitting on a therapy ball doing therapy. And Allie actually learned to sign rather than speak because that's what we were doing. Because with Down syndrome, their receptive language skills are develop much sooner than their expressive.
Right. And so I just want to explain that. So receptive is what you hear, what you receive. Expressive mm-hmm. is what you speak.
Right. Thank you.
Sure. That's what I'm here for.
I'm sorry. I'm running on full speed.
No.
You can slow me down.
Yeah, no, you were doing great because I don't have the experiences that you have. So this is totally all, I mean, I can tell you, about other families that I know, but you have the firsthand experience. So please,
Okay.
I'll just jump in and interrupt you every once in a while.
Okay. Sounds good.
Okay.
So Allie would sign, and she sometimes she'll sign more. I'm hungry over and over and over, even though she has words. It's like,
Right.
use your words. And her latest is to growl, but I've discovered that sometimes she doesn't have the words she needs. So the growl is the substitute for the words she needs. And though it's aggravating as all get out, I just need to stop, I've discovered, and just try to puzzle out the growl. And sometimes she can't tell me even once we sit, but I need to intentionally stop in those moments to give her opportunity to maybe use words.
Right.
What are you seeing comments that I don't see?
Possibly.
Okay.
Why? Because I just smiled?
Yes.
Yeah. Somebody said, well, it is Fridays with Fran after all. And that's who I thought. It was my mom.
Uh-huh. So, because maybe I should stream the other page, because that's what she's commenting. I know, but I wanted to see the comments because then I don't see them.
Oh, okay. There, I'll put it up there.
Thank you.
That's weird. I wonder why you can't see the ones from the group, because that's where these are coming from.
Oh, well, remember I'm in full screen on the regular one. So see, now I can see, because when I'm not on full screen, see the glare on my glasses? That was my cheat method.
Gotcha. No, go full screen. It's fine.
I do.
Okay.
I'm sorry.
No, that's okay.
My little chipmunk. Okay, so here we are. We've got therapies, and then Allie had ear problems, and she had a lot of different emotional, mental health issues. So that went that direction greatly, and I haven't asked her if I have permission to share all that, so I'm going to hold off. Okay. But but it was a lot of appointments, a lot, like everyday appointments.
Yeah.
So I was blessed to have parents who stepped in and helped raise them and get them to their appointments, and either stay at the house and while therapy was occurring with Bubby, so I could run Allie all the way around the clock away to do her stuff. And it was a constant revolving door. And sometimes I would meet a therapist. Okay, this is probably, I don't know if it was right or wrong to do, but I was blessed to have therapists that were willing to meet us in random places. And sometimes I would be on the way to take her to hers, and we passed one of the therapist's houses, and so he would stay there and have therapy, and she would have therapy and her stuff, and then we would go back and go the other direction and pick him up. And
that's wonderful.
And
I mean, that really probably doesn't happen often, but
no,
I mean, I feel like, the people that go into all the different therapies that he had and that she has, and the people who go into teaching do it because they have a heart for helping.
Mm-hmm. They have a servant's heart.
Yeah. And so it doesn't surprise me that someone would reach out and offer that or agree to that, however it came about. It surprises me when someone doesn't.
And sometimes people don't because of the rules, don't you wonder? Yeah. Kind of like I felt like I needed multiple hands and multiple feet, and I needed a scribe to take my notes. And I used to keep the notebook. Michael's talked about the notebook they had that his wife would always keep.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I used to have one, but then I got so confused. That's the difficulty I had because Luke and Ellie are pretty close in age.
Mm-hmm.
And people, I laugh at this though. I really wish I had pictures ready, but we don't really script these. So we just kind of go
Right,
where
right,
we go.
exactly.
But people used to ask me if they were twins.
Yeah, they do look. They look a lot alike.
No, but remember, they're enough in distance apart, and she was born where preemie clothes were big on her.
Yeah. Oh.
So
Yeah.
you know, he's a little bit bigger. I mean, yes, he wasn't walking. Yes, he was using a bottle, and yes, occasionally I would be nursing them both at the same time because it was just so much easier.
Right.
But they weren't twins.
But right. Anyway. But no, I mean, when I first met you, you know, they were
pretty close then.
They were like 9, I think. So they were I think Allie was I and Luke was maybe IJ. No, the other way around. But I thought for the longest time I wasn't sure if they were twins or not, because by that point they were very similar in height.
Right. Yeah.
Their developmental levels were very similar to each other.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, obviously I didn't know you when they were infants, but I certainly thought for a long time. In fact, I don't know. I asked somebody, I don't know if it was you or somebody else, or maybe I just through a process of elimination figured out that they weren't twins, but
probably writing their birthdays down a few times.
Maybe.
Yeah. So, I mean, but you, the comment, how did you manage? How do you wonder, it wasn't a choice. It wasn't an option not to.
Right.
And that is something I think is a unique skill set for caregivers of those who happen to have different abilities. Because it's not a choice. It's not that I want to be super mom. It's not that I want to be, oh, look at me. Let me put, because Facebook didn't even exist then. But let me post this and show you how great no, I wanted the best for my kids, and I was going to do whatever that meant. But in the process, as Alex had mentioned, it took a lot to learn the balance part.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes still even now, I don't have that balance part down. And my cat's up, so you may see a tail soon.
Well, I think balance looks different. You know, I just think it has to, because different things happen. Yeah, I did just a little bit, because different things happen, and you have to rebalance.
That's the key. It's being able to rebalance. Do you know those? It's one of the fads I've seen on exercising. You know, the tilt board looking things.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Well, that's kind of what you have to do, because you're up there and you're balanced, and then one of your kids shifts, or there's a medical emergency. All of a sudden, you're like all off kilter, and you have to learn. It's a process. You don't know it, just like your kids can't learn. They don't come out learning to walk. They don't come out walking.
Right.
It's a process. And I think so many times as parents, even parents of those with neurotypical, typically developing, whatever you want to call it, we are so hard on ourselves. We expect ourselves to be perfect parents. We should have read the What to Expect When You're Expecting in this book and that book, and you should have done this. And sorry.
That's okay.
I just get so aggravated with the idea that we should all be perfect and be doing everything perfectly, because it just puts so much pressure on parents who then, if they can't filter it out, then they're pressuring their kids because they're feeling the pressure that the world puts on them and society puts on them. And where is that grace? Where is that, hey, someone said it takes a village to raise.
Mm-hmm.
And it's true. My kids, and I'll admit it, I have not raised my kids on my own. And I don't think it makes me weak, and I don't think it makes me a failure, but I couldn't do it. And my goal was for them to reach their fullest potential. So if I needed them to do that, then I knew I needed help. I knew that I could not do what they needed on my own. And so that's kind of humbling sometimes when you think on it, because it's losing control of some things and having to trust. But for me, it was uh, God was very faithful for me, and I was able to lean into Him in those times when I couldn't trust, because I knew that I could trust Him.
Right.
And I would just have to set it at the foot of His throne of grace and say, okay, God, I know I can't, so I'm going to trust you to do what I can't. So I just, so, yeah, we had all those appointments, and then she had all of her appointments. And so the color coding got even more wonky, because prior, I had said his therapies were in a certain color. And did you put something up? Because I didn't see it.
Yeah, I just put the Friday with Fran banner. I was going to do the ticker tape, but I didn't want to distract you.
Yeah, because but sorry, the cat's right there, right in the line.
Oh, yeah.
But
no.
So I can I forgot where I was going. It's okay.
See, this is how we do when we don't have replay. So I can't. Somebody, Mom, tell us what was Fran talking about.
Oh my goodness.
Let's see. The humbling experience of acknowledging that you can't do it all on your own, and that you need others to help you. And
God was there, but there was something. It was right there, but that's okay.
I'm sorry.
No,
it'll come back to you.
It'll come back if it was meant to be shared. But I just, oh yeah, I think I know where I was going with it. No, I don't. It's okay.
It takes a village. You had a village.
Yeah, no, it was. I don't know where I was going, but that's okay.
I don't know. But that's funny, because my mom and I do that all the time. We'll be in the middle of a conversation and go, "Wait, where were we going?" And then I'm intently listening, but it didn't penetrate.
And how often do we do that?
Yeah.
Because we're so. And I had somebody, it was actually my dad, with whom I was speaking as I was running home because of my lack of planning and timing. I realize it's become a problem for me. It's something I'm working. Anyway, and I was talking to him, and he reminded me that I need to be intentional about the time I spend with my daughter as well. And to be intentional in that moment. And I had another friend talk about being in the moment with whomever. So I used to, and that's one of the biggest things my daughter feels, because she's quiet and reserved, and her issues are not socially accepted as much as Luke's like the little brother, the little annoying brother that everybody loves and they just deal with, and they're just. And so, and he was in your face. He would come up and hug you and expect you to hug him, kind of thing. And he could get away with it. Whereas my daughter is so much close to looking and acting like that she's not accepted. And so she's marginalized, and she's pushed aside, and she's told that she needs to become what society expects normal to be. So my dad, he pointed out, he goes, you need to be intentional with your daughter as well. And I'm like, well, I just realized today her state ID is expiring.
Oh.
In March, the beginning of March.
Well, because the DMVs haven't been open, there's been extensions on those.
Really?
Yeah, because mine actually has been expired for a couple of months. Now this is my driver's license. I presume it is the same thing.
Well, maybe that'll be nice, because otherwise we're gonna have to like run.
Yeah.
When we're done today, but so where I was going with that was, Dad, I'm taking her out to supper because we used to intention to have date times so that she had those moments.
Right.
And I at least every calendar it would be okay. You pick. We're gonna do what you want or date day. One time we went and sat at the lake.
Mm-hmm.
It was not what I thought she would have wanted to do, but we sat at the lake and we looked for bugs because she loves looking for bugs. And I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm looking at bugs because I'm not fond of bugs. But
Right.
she had those little thing that it was like a watch, but it was a dome with a net, and you could
Oh
put
yeah.
bugs in it. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. She had that full of ants when she was little, and she went to bed and took a nap. Yeah, I guess where the ants ended up. No, 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 not
Oh.
happening. So, but she has always loved, and even to this day, I saw my whole backyard. There's a bunch of pieces of wood all over the yard that I keep along the fence line normally. Yeah, well, she's been looking for bugs, so they're all scattered.
Yeah.
So
Well,
anyway, but
but that is important. But it's also difficult to do sometimes, especially I for some reason, I don't know, I guess because mom is commenting from within the Facebook group, I'm feeling like maybe there's a lot of other people in the group that are watching today or will watch this in the replay, and they haven't been introduced to us very much. The group is just, pretty young as far as like my Facebook page or us doing this. And so I hope that people who are in the middle of what you are explaining you went through are being encouraged that it isn't easy, but it is important to be intentional about certain things, especially that kind of thing. It doesn't happen. It doesn't have to happen, once a week or every other week but it is important for all of your children to have one-on-one time with each parent if that's possible. And even if it's 5 minutes, I have a family that I work with that the student was struggling to want to do work. And I said, okay, I get that, because this is, learning this particular subject is difficult for you. Nobody happily comes to a situation that they know is going to be difficult. We learn to self-reward, whether that's internal or external. So I said, what would be something that you would want as a reward for coming and doing the work that I need you to do? And he said, for my mom to sit and read a story with me. I said, okay. He has siblings, he's the middle sibling, and he didn't get a lot of just him and mom time. It's 5 minutes. That was what he wanted. So he does that, and he gets his 5 minutes. It's not always easy, and I understand, especially you have a much greater understanding as a single parent than I do. So I hope that this is encouraging to you, and also not just because Fran found a way to go through it, but for you to know that someone else has gone through it.
There is a light.
Yeah.
I posted one of those things one day, and it was black, and it said, "Can someone tell me if I'm even in the tunnel?"
Oh, wow.
Because I didn't even know where I was, let alone I didn't even care about the light. I just needed to know where I was so I could start looking for the light.
Right.
Because I was so buried under everything. And I've been blessed to have friends. Yes, was a single parent at various times, but I was blessed to have friends and family walk it out with me. And I don't think we're meant to do it alone. Even if we are single parents, I don't think that I think there's this mentality in this area of having children with different abilities, whether they're medically complex or it's developmental or mental, or is that this is, I gave birth to them. They're my problem. They're my issue. They're my desire to help them grow. So it's all on me, and I'm not going to burden anybody else with this. And you're just setting yourself up for failure, because you're going to crash, and your loved one is going to need you, and you're going to have nothing left. As you and I so often say, you cannot give from empty tanks. You have got to fill yourself back up.
Yeah. And for every person, how you get filled back up is different.
Oh yeah.
So you know, and maybe even every time you need to get filled back up is different. You need to be filled up with something different.
Yeah. It's even, and it's evolving and changing.
Mm-hmm.
I know that, like for me, sometimes it's just crocheting, but then at one point my hands weren't working. And so I didn't have that, and I was at a loss. So it had to evolve and change. Okay, what could I do to allow myself to recharge?
Yeah. And I just recently, I think I told you all that I won a contest, and I had a $2,600 prize package that I won. And within that was a 4-week, it was called Resolving Your Triggers Through Meditation, and or Liberation Through Resolving Your Triggers Through Meditation, or something like that. So I had the first class last Saturday, and one of the things that we practiced doing was just breathing. And we often forget that just breathing is refueling at times, mm-hmm. and calming at times. And so I want to encourage you that, if you are finding yourself really stressed out in a particular moment, or just overall, just take some time. And what they had us do was we breathed in to the count of A, B, C, D. D. We breathed into the count of 4. We held it for 4. And then we breathed out for 4. And then we repeated that 3 times. And it was breathe in through your nose and breathe out through your mouth. And I didn't really feel stressed before we did this exercise, but I felt so relaxed afterward. Mm-hmm. I was surprised at how relaxed I felt, to be honest. So, that's something that you can do as a way to refuel, mm-hmm. just a little, that took less than a minute. So if you have to do that several times a day, do that. And you don't even have to be out of everything that's going on to do that. You can keep going through what you're doing and still breathe in, hold it, and then breathe out. Like this many, 3 times, I think is how many, maybe 4. Do it until you feel better. Maybe you have to do it 10 times.
And this is reminding me, if you could maybe link we did a Friday with Fran specifically geared towards ways to refuel, even when you cannot separate from your unique child.
Yeah.
And and we had a lot of good comments on that one, I believe, as well. And so if you can link that maybe in the comments or something.
Yeah, I will. I'll have to go back and see which one it is specifically. But I do want to, again, for anybody who is watching in the group, Fran is my co-moderator in that group. So if you are watching now live or in the replay and you have a question for Fran, if you post it on this video, she's going to see it. If you have, you just need somebody to give you encouragement. Both of us, we're both going to see whatever you post, but I figured you knew that about me. I just wanted to say that Fran is also going to see it. So if there's, we don't want you to feel alone. I am not a parent of a child with a special need. I don't have the same kind of experiences that Fran does, but I do have an empathetic ear, and I've had a lot of secondary experiences, I guess is what you would call them, where I have walked with families as they have gone through some of their experiences. And so, I can offer some encouragement and support in that way. But Fran, I want to wrap up, but I want to give you an opportunity to say any last comments that you have.
I feel like it's like last comments, like your last supper before something happens. I'm like, oh, okay, well, no. I just my heart as I've I'm reliving this. It's brought up some of those. Oh my gosh! And the question your mom asked, how did you even do it? And all of a sudden I'm like, oh my goodness gracious, how did I? Oh well, but the key, I think, the biggest key for me was to lean into my faith and to know and to realize that no matter how much I wanted my children to reach their fullest potential, that I could only do so much. And if I had, I'm going to take it back to, I've coached basketball and soccer. And what I always told the kids was, I want you to give your best that you have right now. Leave it out there on the court. Whatever your best is today at this moment. Because if your best may not be the best that you had another day. Maybe you had a better best during practice.
Right.
Does that make sense?
Yeah. Yeah, it absolutely does.
So just give the best you have in the moment and give yourself the grace to know that that's all you could do at that time.
Right. Yeah. I want to wrap up. I thank you all for joining us today, Mom and Alex. And I saw that you were commenting, but I know that there were others watching at different times throughout the program today. So thank you for joining us. I also want to encourage you that this is going to be what do they call it? A shameless plug. That if you enjoy Fran's story, her story is not in this book, but there are 9 stories that are very similar to her story. The stories in this book are 9 true stories of families and individuals who were told they can't. That's why can't is in quotation marks and the ellipses behind it, because they were told, you can't have a good life. You can't have nice things. You can't read, you can't run, you can't write, you can't whatever. So this is available through my website, and you can get it through Amazon. If you are somebody watching and this is your first time watching, welcome. And you can email me at this address, Shelley@ShelleyKino.com, or like I said, you can just go to my website, ShelleyKino.com. And if you're in the Facebook group for the first time, thank you for joining us there. Please make sure that you like or subscribe, whatever format you're watching this on, that gives that opportunity to you. We enjoy doing this. This is our time together. We don't have a lot of time outside of this that we get together, and most of the time it is just from one episode to the next episode before we talk to each other again. So we're happy to have you join us. We're thankful that you've joined us. And
if you want us to touch a topic, drop it in the comments.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. So, and I think I started to say, if you wanted a free virtual or in-person checklist, whether you are a parent or an educator, you can get that from my website. I also have a social story talking about being out of school and having to wear the masks and about the virus and stuff like that you can get for free. So if you want any of that information, hop over to my website. If you have anything for Fran and I, leave it in the comments. We thank you, and we will see you all next week.